Hello everyone, welcome to another lecture of professional communication. In this lecture, we'll be discussing adjectives and pronouns. So first, let us discuss what are adjectives. As you can see, there are certain words written on this slide like happy, sad, rich, old, strong, fat, insane, clever, hot. So these are certain words that are describing a certain person or a certain thing. So the words that describe a certain quality that is possessed by a noun are called as adjectives. So adjectives are words that describe noun. So how are words describing noun? For example, there is a boy, and if I say that he is a cute boy, right? So cute becomes a noun. If uh, there's a girl sitting, I would say that she's a very pretty girl. So pretty again is a word that is describing a certain quality of that girl. So pretty becomes an adjective. Now adjectives, having said that, these describe nouns, will be the words that give you answers to questions like what kind, which one, and how many. To sum up, adjectives can be used to describe a lot of things. A lot of things like color, opinion, size, age, shape, origin, material, distance, temperature, and time. For example, if there is a red colored laptop, I would say that the laptop is red in color. So which color is it? It is red. It is telling you about an attribute of that laptop about which I'm talking. So the laptop becomes a noun, and which color is the laptop? It is red in color. Therefore, red is a color that is describing a certain noun. It becomes an adjective. Likewise, uh, I have my tea in a ceramic mug. So what kind of a mug do I use to have my tea? It is a ceramic. It is a material. So ceramic here tells you about the quality or an attribute of that mug which is used by me to have my tea. So any kind of word that is describing a noun is termed as adjective. Let us see the types of adjectives. Adjectives are in general of 7 types. Qualitative adjective, or maybe also called as descriptive adjectives, quantitative adjective, demonstrative adjectives, possessive adjective, interrogative adjective, distributive adjective, and compound adjective. Let us now discuss each kind of adjective in detail. First, qualitative or descriptive adjectives. So qualitative or descriptive adjectives are those that describe a certain quality of a person or a thing. For example, if you have, for example, the example that I've written here also, that the tall girl is my classmate. So which girl is my classmate? Of all the girls that are there, I'm only talking about the girl who's tall, and that tall girl is my classmate. So tall is a word that is giving you a quality or a description of a noun, which is girl here. Therefore this tall becomes an adjective. The students achieved excellent results. So what kind of results were achieved by the students? Excellent result. So any such word that is giving you a quality or a description of a noun is termed as a qualitative or descriptive adjective. Quantitative adjectives, these are used to indicate the number or amount of things. Now number and amount, as we said during the lecture when we were discussing nouns, we discussed that nouns can be counted and they can be measured. So for the nouns that can have numbers, like for instance that there are certain nouns which we can count. How many boys is there in the class? There are suppose 50 boys. So it is a countable noun. For any such noun that is countable, we can have numbers indicating that particular the quality of that particular noun. Or for instance, if there are certain nouns that are non countable entities, wherein we can only weigh them or measure them. How much rice do you want? Uh, I want some rice. So how much rice? Some rice, little quantity, right? So any such nouns that are countable or uncountable, to indicate the number or the amount of such particular nouns, we use quantitative adjectives. The words like some, much, little, enough, all, no, any, whole, and several. All these kind of words which describe the number of a noun or the amount of a certain noun are termed as quantitative. See, it involves the word quantity. Quantity means how much. So how much or how many will be catered to by these particular quantitative adjectives. Taking the examples, she found many pens under the table. How many pens did she find? It is not a sure number. She found many, right? The number is not sure, but then many would indicate that she found more than two or more than two pens under the table. There was no milk in the jug. So no milk, absence of something. So it is also telling you about the quantity. Again, there are 37 students in this class. 37 is a number, countable entity. Students is a countable entity. So how many students are there? There are 37 students in the class. So that is how we'll describe quantitative adjectives, which will tell you about the number or amount of things or people. The next kinds are demonstrative adjectives. So demonstrative, as the word suggests, it is demonstrating somebody, illustrating something. So these demonstrative adjectives would be the adjectives that point out at nouns. This boy, that boy, these tables, those fans, all these kind of words that are pointing out at the nouns are known as demonstrative adjectives. This is my friend Tina. Those books belong to her. So this and those are those words that are describing or that are pointing out at the nouns that we are talking about. So here for the first sentence, this is my friend Dina. I'm talking about a friend of mine whose name is Dina. So that is why I'm pointing out at her this. Again, those books, there are certain books that are lying away from you. So you're pointing out at those books, and then you're saying that those books, the books, whose are those books? These books belong to her. There is some girl, her, and that those particular books belong to her. So demonstrative adjectives will be demonstrating. They will be pointing out at certain nouns. Interrogative adjectives are those kind of adjectives that interrogate, that ask certain questions from you. So question asking words, the WH words. What, where, whose, when, whom, how, which. All these words are known as interrogative adjectives that are asking you questions about the noun. Now the main thing here is these will only be asking the questions about a certain noun. Whose pen is this? Which way shall we go? So whenever you have these WH words that are used as interrogative adjectives, question asking words that are used as interrogative adjectives, these will always be placed just before the noun. Whose pen is this? Which way shall we go? Why am I explicitly saying that interrogative adjectives are placed just before the noun? Because as and when we proceed ahead with the grammar and parts of speech, we will see that these WH words can have different form of uh, part of speech, can be put under different form of part of speech also. For example, if I have a question which is, what is your name? Now here, what word is not used just before the noun? It is rather being used before the verb. So there it will not act as an interrogative adjective. So that is why whenever you're using WH words, that too in the capacity of an interrogative adjective, these have to be placed just before the noun about which we are talking. The next kind of adjectives are possessive adjectives. They show possession, your ownness towards a certain thing. My car, my friend, your pen, his Lamborghini, her bag, our home, their trees, its tail. So it's talking about the possession of something or somebody. So this is her hat. Whose hat is it? Her hat. So this hat belongs to her. Therefore, her becomes a possessive adjective. Their parents. Whose parents? Their parents came to my house. So parents, whose parents are those? Their becomes a possessive adjective for those people. This is, where did they come? Where did they come? They came to my house. So whose house was it? My house. I own this. This is my possession. Therefore, such particular words that tell you about a possession of something or somebody are known as possessive adjectives. The next category of adjectives that we have are distributive adjectives. Distributive would mean that you are collectively counting the persons or things, and because you're collectively counting them and then denoting them using a single common word, therefore distributive adjectives is the name. Like for instance, we will be using the words like each, every, either or neither. Each student of the class is present today. Every student should answer the questions properly. Either Ravi or Krishna was the culprit. Neither Ravi nor Krishna was the culprit. So here, whenever we are having two or more than two entities, and then for those two or more than two entities, we are collectively giving them or referring to them using one common word. In that case, that common word that you give to point out to a certain number of people or single person, in that case it will be called as a distributive adjective. So the next category of adjectives are compound adjectives. Compound means that we are having a combination of two or more than two words. Now the moment you are joining two or more than two words to express one common thing, separating these two or more than two words using a hyphen, they become compound adjective because they are referring to a certain quality of a noun, or for that matter a pronoun. For example, the words like lightweight, duty free, 4-foot, part-time, cold-blooded, well-behaved. For example, if I have well-behaved as a compound adjective, how will I use it in a sentence? The students of this class are very well-behaved. So here well-behaved is a quality. Now how am I referring to that quality? I have put two words, well and behaved, joined them using a hyphen, and then I'm putting that common one single now word as the two words, joining them using a hyphen as one, and then I'm using that in a sentence to refer to a certain quality that a person or people possess. Likewise, lightweight. The shoes that I bought yesterday are very lightweight. So lightweight, you have one word as light, the other as weight. You're joining two words using the hyphen, and that is how it becomes a compound adjective. So compound would always mean multiple, two or more than two. We have to be open-minded about things. The lady is wearing a pair of high-heeled shoes. So all such cases will be compound adjectives wherein we are joining two or more than two words to express a common adjective, and that common word that the two or more than two words are making, separating them by a hyphen, will be termed as a compound adjective. Having discussed the types of adjectives, now we will be discussing about the comparison of adjectives. That is, the degrees that we can have in the adjectives. So we can have three kind of degrees: the positive degree, comparative degree, and superlative degree. Positive degree would mean that you're using adjectives wherein we are not trying to compare any kind of Having done the types of adjectives, now let us proceed towards the comparison of adjectives. Comparison of adjectives would mean that we are now here dealing with the degrees that the adjectives have. Now, degree here means that we can have any adjective being used as just a normal random word wherein it is not trying to compare any thing or people or person. Next is comparative, wherein we are comparing two objects or any two things that are of the same nature. And then superlative would mean that you have two or more than two things, and then you're trying to make a comparison or within those multiple things that you have. Like for instance, for the positive, we may have normal words like clean, dirty, clever, simple, and narrow. On the contrary, if I am comparing two entities using these positive degree, I will never be using the same degree. I will have to change it to the ER form, or we can also have the words that are positive, but then using them in comparative, we can have a word more added to such particular positive degrees. For example, here clean becomes cleaner when I'm comparing two any two things or people, and then if I'm comparing two or more than two things, it will be superlative. For example, Dehradun is a clean city, so it's not trying to draw any comparison between anything. We're just talking about Dehradun as a city, and it is a clean city. Now the moment I say that Dehradun was cleaner five years back, that would mean that I'm now comparing the state of cleanliness of the city Dehradun today, at present, and 5 years ago. Then if I have to use clean as a superlative degree, how would I do it? I will probably put it as that of all the cities in Uttarakhand, Dehradun is the cleanest. So here what I did was I have made a comparison among all the cities that are there in Uttarakhand, and then having made that comparison, I am then drawing a conclusion also. So superlative will let you to put your particular thing or person being compared stand out. Likewise, dirty, dirtier, and dirtiest. So what we're doing is we are adding an er for comparative degree, and superlative degree we will be just adding an est. Dirty, this table is very dirty. Comparative degree, the table was dirtier yesterday. Superlative degree, of all the tables that are kept in that restaurant, the table number 2 is the dirtiest. So that is how we are drawing a comparison between two things, or including every single entity of the same nature, and using the different degrees of adjectives. Why am I emphasizing on the fact that it has to be same nature? For example, I have a sentence that says the speed of his new car is higher than the old one. The speed of the new car, his new car, is higher than the old one. Now what I'm doing is the speed of his new car would mean that now here the entity that is being compared is the speed. The latter part of the sentence says then the old one. Now then the old one would mean it is the car that I'm referring to. So what I did, I compared the speed of one car with the car and not the speed. So how will I put it in the correct way? I'd put it as the speed of his new car is higher, which is the comparative degree, than that of the new one. Now then, having added that word that would mean that now I'm comparing two common things, speed of one car with the speed of the previous one. So that is why it has been emphasized that whenever you're using comparative degree, it has to be for common kind of things. You can't compare to non-common things. For example, you cannot say that Dehradun is cleaner than my eyes. Does not make sense, because Dehradun is a city, eyes is a altogether a different entity. It's a body component. Therefore, you can't compare two things that are not similar. Only the things that are similar, you can only draw a comparison between those things. So that is why you need to keep in mind that whenever you're using a comparative degree, or for that matter a superlative degree, you will always and always be using or be comparing common kind of entities using such comparative adjectives. Also, whenever you're using a superlative degree, it always and always will be following the word the. So it has to be the cleanest, the dirtiest, the cleverest, the simplest, the narrowest, etc. Now there are certain words wherein adding er and est does not make a meaningful word. For such words, if at all we are using such positive degree words to compare either as comparative or as superlative, that means either comparing two entities or comparing more than two entities, what we'll be doing is we'll be adding the word more for comparative and most for superlative. So this problem is difficult. It's a normal sentence. We're not trying to make any comparison. Algebra is difficult than trigonometry. So algebra is more difficult than trigonometry. So now you're making a comparison between two subjects. Of all the topics that are there in mathematics, Trigonometry is the most difficult. Again, the most difficult. So whenever you're using a superlative degree, be that the est form or be that the most and the word form, in that case both the cases will always be having the word the before the usage of superlative degree. We have certain adjectives that are called as irregular adjectives. Why irregular? Because they do not follow that EREST or more or most kind of rules. Now here, for example, the words like good. So good, we do not have a word like gooder and goodest. It is good, better and best. Likewise, bad, worse, worst. Much, more, most. Much more, most will be used for non-countable entities, uncountable nouns. You will never say that there were much students in the class. You will always say there were many students in the class, countable. You will always say that there was much to learn from the session. You will never say there was many to learn. So for any uncountable nouns that you have, you will always be using the words, the adjectives like much, more and most. Likewise, little, less, least, little, smaller, smallest. So these are certain irregular adjectives which do not. Why irregular? Because regularly while we are making a comparison, we either use the words like er est ending words or more or most uh, prefixed words, but because these words do not follow either of the rules, therefore these are known as irregular adjectives. Then we have certain special adjectives. Why special? Because they may have both the forms of comparison. They may use er, est forms as well as more or most forms. The words, a few of the words are listed here, like clever. You can have cleverer and more clever. You can always have cleverest and most cleverest. Okay, most clever as a superlative degree. Example: polite, politer, more polite, politest, most polite. So let us very quickly, to brush up the concepts that we've just learned, try to identify the adjectives in these sentences. The first one is try using this paintbrush in the art class. This. So it is pointing out at the paintbrush. Which paintbrush? This paintbrush. So this is a demonstrative kind of adjective that we have in this particular sentence. The second sentence is many people come to visit the fair. Many. It is not giving you a definite number. Plus, the many word is put just before the noun people. Therefore, this is an indefinite adjective. Again, I went into the duty-free shop, but I did not buy anything. Duty-free, now what you've done is you've joined two words. One is duty, other is free, using a hyphen, and then you're putting it as one entity, and it is being it is put here in just before the word shop, which is a noun. Again, he doesn't seem intelligent, but he is intelligent is again a positive degree. So that's a normal random kind of a positive degree word. These are the answers to the questions: this, many, duty free and intelligent, as we've already discussed. Having finished the adjectives, now let us take on pronouns. So pronouns are those words that are used in place of noun. Why are we using words in place of noun? For example, suppose I have a paragraph that says that my name is Sakshi, or maybe her name is Sakshi. Sakshi is uh, an intelligent girl. Sakshi wishes to pursue her career in um, mountaineering. Sakshi hails from the hilly areas. So I have these sentences. Now the moment you read such paragraph wherein one word is being repeated every now and then, it becomes very kind of weird for the reader as well as for the listener. Therefore, just to remove that weirdity or to put it in a more subtle way, what we're doing is we are replacing that noun that is occurring very frequently by certain words, so that this is good to eyes and ears. Therefore, the words that we use to replace that noun, which now here is Sakshi, will be known as pronouns. For example, her name is Sakshi. She is very intelligent. She wishes to pursue her career in mountaineering. Either then you can put it as Sakshi hails from hilly areas, or she hails from hilly areas. So that is how we have removed the repetitive usage of nouns using certain words, and those certain words that are used in place of noun to denote the very same noun are known as pronouns. For the males, we use the words like he. For females, it is she. For animals, place or things, it will be it. So in total, we have 7 kind of pronouns: personal pronouns, possessive pronouns, reflexive pronouns, demonstrative pronouns, interrogative pronouns, relative pronouns, and indefinite pronouns. Let us discuss each pronoun in detail. The first kind of pronouns that we'll be dealing with are personal pronouns. Personal pronouns are those pronouns wherein we are taking into consideration the 3 persons: first person, second person, and third person. What is the first person? First person is the person who is making a conversation, who is talking. Second person is the person who is receiving the conversation, means the first person is talking to the second person. Third person, the person about whom the first and the second person are talking, becomes the third person. So these are 3 persons. These particular persons that we have may have the usage of personal pronouns. Also, you can have any kind of number based nouns that we can be using, that we can be denoting using personal pronouns. Also, the gender, like for instance male, female, and neuter gender, or common gender for that matter, we'll be using the words like he, she, it. And subject and object may also have the usage of personal pronouns like we or us. So personal pronouns, they will be representing a specific person, people, or things, and they will refer to a certain person, place, or thing that we're talking about, right? Based upon the persons, that is first, second, and third person, and the number of the noun, that is singular and plural, we may have personal pronouns like I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they being used for subjects. For example, I am teaching you. You are being taught. He is doing it. She will be doing it. It was done by him. We have done it all. They have come. Likewise, when it is the object that we're talking about, what is the subject and what is the object? Subject is the doer of the action who's performing the action. Object is the receiver of the action. So subject for the active sentences will be put at the very initial part of the sentence, and object for the active sentences will be put at the very end. The moment you are putting it in the passive form, now object takes the first place in the sentence and subject shifts to the last. So he told me to do the work. So I received that particular instruction. Therefore, receiving it, it becomes me. Likewise, you have n number of personal pronouns like me, you, him, her, it, us, you, and them that can be used as a personal pronoun when it comes to using them for objects. These are certain examples of the personal pronouns like I like coffee, Harry helped me. Do you like tea? Hermione loves you. She runs fast. Did Ron beat him? He's clever. Does Dumbledore know him? We went to Hogwarts. Misha drove us. So for all these sentences, you can see that there are certain pronouns, personal pronouns that are placed at the very beginning. Those pronouns that are placed at beginning of any active kind of sentence are subject-oriented pronouns. They are personal pronouns, singular or plural either, but then these are subject-oriented. Likewise, the pronouns that you're placing at the end of the sentence, wherein this personal pronoun is receiving a certain action, in that case, it will be an object-oriented the personal pronoun. Harry helped me. Who was helped by Harry? Me. I was helped by Harry. Therefore, this me here denotes the object-oriented personal pronoun in the singular case. Let us now discuss the possessive pronouns. So possessive pronouns are those which refer to a specific person or thing. It could be people or things as well. So these specific person or people or thing that we're talking about are called as antecedent. I'm so sorry for the spelling mistake here. So it is antecedent. And these specific person or thing or people or things may belong to a person. It may also belong to animals or things as well. And something that is very critical to be noted here is that these will never be found near a noun, even though these are in a way genitive of a personal pronoun only, but then these will never be found near the noun. And they are used depending upon the number, the person, and the gender. Again, like person, singular cases, we will be using the word like mine, plural ours. That house is mine, that house is ours. Person based possessive nouns. First person, mine, as I said, that house is mine. Second person, you, or you is second person. For possessive, it will be yours. So yours, for example, is that house yours? So possession. And third person, his. This house is his, hers. And then we have gender based person possessive pronouns like male and female. For males we'll use his, and for female we'll use hers. So this bat is his, this maybe this badminton racket is hers. What kind of words do we use for personal possessive pronouns? Again, they can be singular or plural based upon the number, first, second, or third. So gender of the owner, possession, whosoever possesses a certain thing, the gender of that, if it is male or female or maybe neuter. Depending upon that, we may have words like mine, yours, his, hers, ours, yours, and theirs as the possessive pronouns. Let us very quickly take a few examples so that the things are clear to you in a better way. Look at these pictures. Mine is the big one. So of all the pictures that the person or the people are viewing, mine is the big one, means my picture is the big one. So mine is a possessive, again, pronoun. I like your painting. Do you like mine? So object here will be my painting. So I like your painting. Do you like my painting? My painting is the object. Again, I'm so sorry for this error here. All the essays were good, but his was the best. So of all the essays that were there, his essay was the best. Again, this his essay is the subject. Elena found her passport, but Melanie could not find hers. Object will be her passport, but Melanie could not find her passport. So that is how we will say that based on cases, subject to object, we may have possessive pronouns. So usage of possessive pronouns. For singular and plural, we may have mine, your, his, her, its. And for plural, we may have our, your, and their. Now the catch here is that possessive pronouns, those kind of possessive pronouns that can be used before noun are these. And the cases wherein the possessive pronouns are used alone are, again, the words that are listed: mine, yours, his, hers, its, etc. That will be all for this lecture. We'll be continuing with the remaining pronouns in the upcoming lectures based on pronouns. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've understood the things. For whatever doubts that you have, you may please note down your doubts and we'll be discussing them during the interactive sessions. Thank you so much.